for. I'd like to call the Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting to order. The first item is roll call, please.
Mrs. Root,
Here.
Mrs. Hanchett.
Here.
Mr. Barnes.
Present.
Mr. Curran.
Here.
Mr. Havey.
Here.
Mr. Healy. Mr. Ricky.
Here.
Mrs. Ricketts Wales.
Here.
And Mr. Harris. 7 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. The next item is the approval of the January 15th minutes, and I will entertain a motion.
Ricky, move. Curran, second.
Okay, is there any questions? If not, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Anybody opposed? Motion carried. I wanted to acknowledge that, as always, we have our monthly reports are included in our packet today from Ashley Smith, Director of Economic Development, Craig Clark, Industrial Development Agency, Keir Durham, Director of Planning, and Rita Solbeck Lynch, Employment and Training, and you can see these attached to the minutes online. Today, we have a presentation by Director of Planning, Keir Durham, on the comprehensive plan and the CPIG organization. And Keir, I'll turn it over to you.
Hello there. So we're coming up on the renewal of the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is based on the New York State law. I gave you 2 handouts. Hopefully you took them up to the podium with you, but if you didn't, I'll review it and you can look at it later. So there's 2 handouts. One of the handouts is says County Comprehensive Plan, General Municipal, Chapter 24, Article 12B, 239-D. And that is a clip of the actual law that states what a comprehensive plan for a county should be. So the state basically put everything in the kitchen sink into the law. The looking quickly down, it's general statements of goals, objectives. Thank you, Chairman, for giving everybody their handouts. Goals, objectives, principles, policies, standards upon which proposals for immediate and long-range protection, enhancement, growth, and development of the county are based. And then from there, going down the laundry list that they include, and I'm just going to touch on a few, the regional needs and official plans of other governmental units. So that means that we're going to try to, and we always do, include the different agencies and actual departments in the county. And it was over 120 different agencies the last time we did it that we reached out to get information from them. My guess is it's even more now.
When you say agencies, are you talking about towns and villages, or are you talking about organizations?
Primarily, I'm talking about a lot of not-for-profits in the county, as well as entities like Cornell Cooperative, Soil and Water, those, and then the actual departments of the county.
Would this include like the development corporations that exist in the different towns?
Any of that stuff.
Okay,
Chambers, you name it.
okay.
How's the response for that?
Well, we haven't,
I mean, in the past. I know you haven't
Week.
done it yet.
hopefully we'll do better this time.
Okay.
We're going to try some new things.
Good.
But yeah, I made up a spreadsheet. It was this big last time of all these agencies and all the topics, and it was a lot of stuff going in there. If you look down through this, agricultural uses, historic cultural resources, the population and demographics, transportation facilities, the location and intensity of land uses, housing, utilities, cultural facilities, historic sites, emergency management services, recreation and parkland, commercial industrial facilities. All these things are part of it. That it literally is everything. It's supposed to be everything. So we'll get down a couple more, all or part of the plan of any of another public agency. So everybody thinks, when they think of the plan, they think of this very pretty book we did in 2019. There were only 2 appendices in this print. The rest of it, and this isn't even complete, but the rest of it is this. This is part or all of any other plan that covers different topics in the county. There's also the hazard mitigation plan, which is at least as big as this, that is part of that. So gathering all these projects and all these studies that the county's been doing heavily in the last 6 years is going to be part of this new plan. So I'm probably going to need 2 of these binders next time, is my guess. Now I folded my thing shut and I have to find my place again. So all those things go into the comprehensive plan, as the state says. Now I'm flipping back to my other write-up. We're hoping that the main use of this, or one of the primary uses, is to help the county have a better ability to secure grants and loans, foster an environment that supports economic growth. So those are some big lofty things. And over the last number of years, there many times people are applying for a grant and they're using these documents in order to back up the fact that the county actually supports that particular project or that type of project. And the data and the maps and all that goes into it is backup so that other folks going for grants don't have to create all this from scratch. It provides a roadmap for future investments, and that can be a lot of different things. We hope to include many of snippets of all these studies that you've been doing so that all those great ideas are summarized in the plan so people don't have to search around so much. The benefits beyond the financial, the grants, is it guides your local board and the committees of this legislature and the appointed ad hoc committees that you have, which is a lot. Just listen to the organizational meeting at the beginning of the year. It helps you to collaborate because we're working with all 29 towns and 10 villages through this process and trying to get their concerns. Identify and prioritize capital improvement projects. It can be used as a marketing tool to display the county's assets and opportunities. And it can continue, there it says support future funding and grants. One of the questions that we get is why does this came out in 2019, why does it say outlook for 2030? So typically we're supposed to update a comprehensive plan every 5 years or less. However, we all know there's a lot of projects that are going to take more than 5 years. And so the 10-year window is typically what we put on the cover and we're trying to capture. And also if you're a little behind after 5 years and getting the next one like we are right now, then you're well covered that way. So that's about the county's comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan board. So the plan board is made up of 9 members. 3 are legislators. Deb Root, Gary Barnes, John Reekie. Get ready. You got work coming. 3 planning board members, Jason Eisman, John Gorton, and Paula Van Dyke. And 3 at-large members. Currently, Meredith Fields from Alfred is the only one I have in the at-large. I'm looking for 2 more. This board is less about where somebody lives and more about the skills and background that they bring. So the current board members, and this is not total, but they have experience in small business, marketing, transportation, public works, operating restaurants, grant writing, grant management, not-for-profits, running public authorities, mid-sized business management, public education, higher education, and technology. That's what those 7 people bring to the table that's important when thinking about this. We still could use folks with an agricultural background, legal background, large business experience, manufacturing, tourism, health. Those are sectors that I see we're a little weak on. There's probably a lot more, but
So you're looking for people to fill those 2 remaining seats, hopefully
Yes.
out of those areas you just mentioned.
yep. So if somebody comes to mind that has some of those skills, any of those skills, and is willing to participate, that would be awesome. I will note that this is the first comprehensive plan that we will do without Lee Gridley. And Chuck Jessup, Mike Johnson, Dale Foster, Ed Iker, Rich Yule, pretty much lost the team since the last plan was done. Those folks worked very hard on this previously. And there's a lot of things that have changed beyond that since 2019. COVID obviously happened. The state and federal politics are all upside down since, what was going on then. The technology is different. AI has popped up. Solar facilities are everywhere now. Electric vehicles and charging and all that. You've done a lot of reports and studies. So there's a lot of things. Little quick background. I'm just going to buzz through these. The first plan was, the county did not have a comprehensive plan for 200 years. And Kirk Crandall and the legislature at that time engaged with me and created the first comprehensive plan board in 2007. And the chairman charged that group with quite a challenge to create something from nothing in less than a year. Was quite a lift. The first plan started in 2007, was completed in 2008. Other than myself, there was no outside consultants. I wasn't actually working for the county at that time. Rick McClay did the cover. He was the graphic designer. Second plan was started in 2012, completed in 2013. The plan was completed by myself and the board. No outside consultants were utilized except graphic design by Rick McClay. Well, Rick McClay passed away also since these things. That year, we tried something crazy, and we printed and compiled it all in the office. I will never do that again. There's a picture of my bookcase there after we completed the printing job in-house. And we send a copy to all 29 towns and 10 villages and all of you guys and a lot of other people. So that plan won the Upstate APA Planning Excellence Award for Comprehensive Planning and won the New York Planning Federation Comprehensive Plan Award. The third plan started in 2017, completed in 2019, and that was done by myself, Angela McKay, and Michelle Denhoff, Linza. with the Comprehensive Planning Board. No outside consultants were utilized at all for that plan. It was printed, however, by Alfred State College. And we won the New York Planning Federation Comprehensive Plan Award for 2020 with that. So this spring, we intend to have our first Comprehensive Plan Board meetings and kick off the update process. Typically, this process will reach out to 120-plus agencies, departments, I already said that, and take 1 to 2 years. When we have the draft plan, we will share it with you, the legislative board, to see if we forgot anything or you see anything that needs to be changed. Once you've had your chance at it, then the approval process takes a couple of months. So that's about the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan implementation group was created right after the very first plan, because it's all fine and dandy to have a big plan on the shelf, but if you don't have any money to do anything with it, then is anything going to get done? So if you look down to the budgets, the budget typically was somewhere between 25,000 and 41 or 43,000. The last number of years was mostly the 25,000. I have, so you understand, Comprehensive Plan Implementation Group had a separate board and a process. We have an application form. We have notes to the board members on what they're to think about when they're reviewing proposals. It was for not-for-profits, towns, villages, and county entities typically to apply. No business was allowed to apply directly. So the board would meet, they would hear a proposal from the applicant, and based on the budget and the project, they would make arrangements to approve that. A few years ago, we discussed that a little further, which I'm going to defer to the county administrator a little bit in a minute, but we covered a lot of projects. And what I loved about this group was I could see the results in the ground when I would drive around, and you still see them to this day. So this was a great group. The largest areas that got funded were, in very general terms, development projects and parks, trails types of projects. But we also did work providing service to history-related, health, hazard mitigation. We're low on funding one year for that project. Genesee River Wilds, it helped get that group off the ground. The Land Bank, it helped get that group off the ground. Telecommunications, transportation, a little bit for youth, agriculture, so literacy. So there's a lot of different topics, general topics that were assisted back through that program. I'm going to point to the county administrator to talk about her thoughts on CPIC, as it was known.
You need help with a giant book out there.
My gut is hurting just from moving that.
Just first, I would like to say that the comprehensive plan is very, very important. This board has made it a priority to go after a lot of grants recently. We've been working with Delta Development on a number of grant opportunities. A lot of the narrative for those grants that we've been successful with have come right from the comprehensive plan. And that's anywhere from some of your economic development grants to the THUD grant for the fairgrounds. We didn't have a lot of information to work with. What we did use was comprehensive plan to write that. So very happy that we have that, have those facts on hand anytime we want to do a grant application. As we know, those opportunities have a very small window, and we can't spend months researching things, so having this at our fingertips is very useful. I did want to speak about the comprehensive plan implementation group. Kier did a great job giving you guys the budget, some history. We have normally put $25,000 in the budget in recent years. When we first started this out, there was 30. We had to decrease it to 25. There's been years where we've underspent and years where we've overspent. But we stopped doing that a few years ago. There was just some concerns that we weren't doing contracts with these groups, that there was no board approval, and that while it's great to have a group that's familiar with the comprehensive plan try to vet applications and opportunities to further some of the things in here, really that is county taxpayer dollars that really needs to come back to this board to approve, and you do need to have contracts with these entities. So trying to firm up how we move forward with that, I think there's a lot of opportunities to do that. As I said, we haven't funded in the past couple of years, but we also had a lot of ARPA funds that we used on a lot of shared services. So that was a little bit of a compromise with not having some of this in the meantime. I'm looking to know if the board still wants to try to keep something or add something back to next year's budget for comprehensive plan implementation, because although it's not a lot, 25 to 30,000, it would be good for planning purposes to know for next year's budget if that's something you would like to see in the budget. So one, we can get it in the budget, and two, we can figure out what the mechanism would be to get those applications in for review and in front of the board for 2026. So just some thoughts and questions.
I would like to say, I was on the CPIG board for a long time, and Kiera is correct. It was nice to be able to see some things get done. And it kind of brought it, I have no problem with it coming back and running it through so it makes it more suitable for spending taxpayers' money. But the board itself, when they went through it, spent a lot of time making sure it met those needs and where it was needed and where it had the most impact. So lots of times we do have comprehensive plans, we have strategic plans and that, and we struggle having the money to get them done. I'd like to see more money in there, but, you know, we are where we are trying to put it together. So I would like to see it continue to some effect. I'm sure it would be helpful for your planning department too.
We'd be happy to oversee the process. That's not a problem.
And I'll maybe just build off of those statements as well. Kier also mentioned it's tough to get volunteers for anything right now. And that's not just in this county, it's universal across the state. People have a difficult time giving up their own time for some of these boards, and their input is needed. And if you can make that opportunity more meaningful to them, you know, if they're working on this comprehensive plan, if there's some way for them to see that this is actually used after all their planning process, that might make some of those opportunities to serve on some of those boards easier to accept for people too. They might volunteer more.
Irregardless of what we do and exactly how we do it and how much we fund it for, all that information is available to our NGOs, our towns, our villages, our fire departments, to utilize that in their own grant applications. So the program's a great program, and I'm fully support us moving ahead with it.
It's all on our website too. Even all the appendices are on there too, I think.
Oh, yeah,
Or most, all of them. So it's out there for anyone to use and see.
I think probably working with some of the towns and villages on their strategic plans, you probably opens up opportunities that you could fold some of it into to help out.
Quite often what the funds were requested was an entity would have some of the funds. They weren't coming for the whole thing most of the time. They had this much and they needed a little match or this much to get it over to finish. So that was part of the reason we felt that it was positive. It wasn't just, tossed to it.
A lot of good things, a lot of playground equipment, a lot of signs, a lot of further studies out of this too, I believe.
Technology.
So Chris, what I'm hearing is you'd like perhaps a further discussion, and we don't need to do it right now, but you'd like to know the feeling of this board. Do we want to set aside monies and get that group going up again
Yes,
in
and
the
not,
form that it makes sense?
not for this year, but for next year's planning purposes,
Okay.
yes.
So we can have those discussions down the road this year and be able to get back to you.
This summer would be helpful.
That would be great. I was going to say the deadline on that. So we will have those discussions and get back to you by summer.
July 4th.
Yeah.
July 4th, we will do that.
By our fair board meeting would be nice and appropriate.
By the fair. Okay, this is better.
I
Yes.
will mention that budget starts way before the fair, so it's helpful to know.
We will
early in
have
the
those
summer.
discussions before, way before. Mr. Stockton?
Just put in a positive reinforcement for the whole, that program that, up in my neck of the woods, I think one year there was a little bit left and somebody contacted us and said so, and a relatively small amount of money, a pergola was built in the town park. And in the summertime, I see people sitting there with a little lunch or something again and again and again and again. So I'm very much in favor of this.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, is there any other discussion the committee has with Kier while he's at the podium? If not, we will continue this discussion at a further date to talk about moving forward for the next year. Thank you, Kier. Very informative. So when are we going to start with the new committee to start your plan? Okay. Okay, next up, we have Ashley Smith, Director of Economic Development. She's going to give us a quick overview of her new listing, or new property listing technology. Again, I think she's got some visuals for us to see.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to take a moment to share another piece. Do you need it back? Sorry about that. Just to share a piece of technology that you all approved this past summer for our website that showcases all of the available commercial real estate. And so I just wanted to put it on the screen so you could see what that looks like. It is live. I actually had the pleasure of sharing that at the New York State Economic Development Conference that I attended and was a panelist at just last week. It was very well received. And so I'm excited that we have this piece of technology, and it looks like not many other people do. I just needed the mouse so I could navigate a little bit easier than trying to get Brenda to listen to everywhere I need her to go. All right, so on the Economic Development website, under Properties, again, this is live. It is, there's a company in the background called Resimplify, and what they do is they comb through all of our brokers and real estate agents in our local area, grabbing all the listings that are out there. And so it is small on the screen, but I'll give you the Cliff Notes version. In the right-hand corner, there's a little filter option. It is clickable. You can look for square footage. You can look for land or property. Obviously, our zoning makes it a little interesting because not everything is classified as commercial or industrial. So there's a tiny bit of work that goes in when I recognize there's a developable piece of property that should be added, then I just extend that information out and they get that put in for us. Ideally, all of the marks that you see on the map are an available space of some form. So the filter option is there. These are linked, and so, you know, this one happens to be the the Wellsville Business Park, if I'm not mistaken. I can't see that far.
Yep, it is.
Okay, sorry. And so ultimately, it's giving you, if it's lease, sale, square footage, land available, different types of components. If there is, let's say, a PDF flyer that comes with that listing, then that also can get attached. We'll be doing a little bit more work with this as we move forward because we can feature properties. We can embed this in our CRM system as we get into email marketing to site selectors. And so we can feed them properties that are of a desirable interest to them. So again, I just wanted to take 3 minutes and showcase this to you to let you know that this is a piece of technology you all approved and we are actively using it.
So are these all commercial properties listed?
Yes.
Yes.
There's no residential.
Okay.
For many reasons, but for the sake of,
Right.
of this, yes, all commercial. That is whether it's listed with an agency and or it can be for sale by owner. Those, it's kind of like we encourage the community to reach out to say, hey, I have a piece of property that's for sale, I'm not listing it. We share that with the company and then they manually maintain that listing for us so we don't have to do the work. Same goes for lease. So it's sale or lease and it's listed or by owner. So we can capture all of them.
What type of space do you think there's the biggest call for?
That's an excellent question, one that I can't exactly answer yet. I will be able to tell you that as we are moving forward with this because part of the metrics we're going to be looking at are what are people clicking on? Which properties are most desirable? I would say from a lead perspective, we get the outreaches from Buffalo Niagara and I know people inquire with our IDA partner and so large warehouse space, data center space, energy suckers is what some of them are, and we can't compete in that market.
I would think warehouse and transportation would be a big one in the right location anyway.
I think it can be. I think many people don't understand what we have available, and so part of this is to try to get that out to the public.
I want to go back to what you just said, energy suckers. We can't compete.
Data centers.
We can't compete because of our electrical utilities,
Yes.
infrastructure.
And it's not just us. I mean, that's all over the state, but mostly it's the availability of power. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, any other questions for Ashley? Pardon? Thank you, Ashley.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on, we have several action items for today. The first one is contract renewal with Delta Development for comprehensive public funding strategy services. Tim, do you want to speak to this?
I lost the coin toss at the back of the table, so yes. This, what we're asking the board to consider and move forward is a contract renewal with Delta Development. We've been working with them for approximately 3 to 4 years. We've seen a positive response from this. It's a $90,000 annual contract for those services. They help us in the process of applying for grants and other aid through both the state and federal levels. We've seen a good amount of success for that. That includes the projects at the fairgrounds, our IIJA applications. We have another grant that's coming through that we've been awarded from Congressman Langworthy, and another one that's in the pipeline. So we are getting some return. It does cost us our match, but when you look at the amount of money that we're receiving and moving those projects forward, it's a pretty good effort. So we're requesting that the contract be renewed or moved forward for signature. It's in the amount of $90,000 and request that.
And it
do that.
was included in the 25 budget?
It was not, but we are moving money from the contingency fund to cover that. So it is reflected in the MOE, looking at where those funds are coming from to provide that contract.
I'll move it for further discussion.
Do we have a second?
Maybe a second.
Okay, any further discussion?
So you think we've gotten our money's worth?
I think we have gotten our money's worth. I mean, if you look at even just the allocation for the fairgrounds alone, there's $428,000, and that was all federal money, nothing from the county. When we have our contract, we have our monthly discussions with Delta, we have the services of 4 or 5 individuals that provide us with some technical assistance and provide a lot of background work that goes into it and really makes the process easier. We still have some work, but we do get, what we get for the $90,000 is more than what we would pay for, we would pay more than that for one planner.
They'd be mostly work in lieu of, working services in lieu of money, correct?
Yes.
So, we got some other funding hanging out there.
We understand that we're still on the THUD allocation, the THUD, Transportation, Housing, Urban Development, for an additional $1.25 million that would be allocated for continued expansion at the Gateway project. And we are in the process of putting together applications for additional funding for STAG applications, state tribal assistance grants, for additional money at the Gateway for another project there. We have some state grants that we're applying for as well. We have several $1 million in potential allocations that they're assisting us in helping to procure.
And the grant that Friendship got, the 2.1.
We did not have anything to do with that, although we'll take credit for it if we need to.
It's a benefit to our overall development
Correct.
of the crossroads, and that was for their water, their infrastructure, correct? All of it, which was Congressman Langworthy's office, helped us greatly on. Thank you.
Correct.
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
What's the other reasonable and ordinary costs? Is that $2,000 or 20? Do we have a number on that?
We have not, to my knowledge, we have not received any additional expenses. If they were to come up here for a face-to-face meeting with us, that would include their travel and hotel. But we've not incurred a substantial or significant amount of money in that regard.
Okay, and the other is, I think everybody has been pretty happy with Delta. Why wasn't it in the budget? Why do we have to go to fund balance? I just thought something we'd automatically put in there.
It was an oversight in the preparation of the budget. That was something that we missed, and I'll take responsibility for that. So,
We'll hold you to it. Thanks.
okay, thanks.
Any other further discussion on this? If not, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have a request to fill an office aide in the planning department.
Rick, you move?
Do we have a second?
Hanchett will second.
Okay, is there any further discussion on this? And my question is, this was included in the 25 budget, and I'm seeing a yes. Okay. If there's no further discussion, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion is carried. Next up, we have the acceptance of the I Love New York State Aid Program grant funds.
Sorry. This MOE is asking for a resolution to authorize the acceptance of grant funds for the I Love New York State program in the amount of $49,083. It would authorize the acceptance of the award as well as approval for the county administrator to sign off on all related paperwork. It is the state grant that we pursue every year. It's part of the renewal of an existing grant opportunity, and so we're just asking for acceptance of the funds.
Hanchett will move.
Kern second.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next up is a budget transfer for new employee computer equipment.
Yep, so that one is also mine. The Office of Economic Development is just requesting a budget transfer from one cost center in our budget to another. Our line item was a little short relative to being able to purchase equipment for our marketing specialist. And so we just want to move it from cost center 409, which is our fees, for $1,500 into the cost center of .201.
I'll entertain a motion.
Havey will move that.
Ricky second.
Any further discussion? If not, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is to accept and appropriate a donation of funds for employment and training. I see those funds is in the amount of $5,000. I'll entertain a motion.
Helio move it.
Do we have a second?
Hayfield, second.
Any further discussion? If not, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carried. Do we have anything for good of the order? No? I have one. Just to give you, to have you hang on your seats for next month's meeting, we're going to have department chairs are going to come and give us a state of the state of economic development in Allegheny County for 2024.
I noticed that Dr. Clark is here. I didn't know if he had anything he wanted to add or not.
I don't know, we can ask him. Dr. Clark, do you have anything you'd like to share with us today?
Now, it's a couple of things. One is these energy suckers, data centers, basically, most people are not trying to attract them because they have very few jobs.
Very few jobs.
They basically use the energy, and we don't have the energy. So it's something, we're getting requests, and everybody's getting requests. In fact, they tried to get one to move into Wellsville a few years ago, and the mayor beat them off. So it's a good thing to do, to be aware of what they're doing when they try to say they're development, because sometimes they're not development, they just want the power. Yes.
Gary?
When you talk about energy, what exactly are you saying?
They basically use a massive amount of electricity to drive their data centers, and Bitcoin is one of them, but other ones like that, and they basically run and run and run. They use all the energy, and they have very few actual jobs. So I've never figured out why they need a massive amount of energy, but they do. They would probably use most of the energy that Wellsville needs for their residents. That's how bad it can be. So they could use probably 10 megawatts without even dropping a bat. I mean, they would just do it.
Thank you.
Yep. The other thing is we are working with Great Lakes Cheese. As you well know, Great Lakes Cheese has closed production January 31st. We have some initial discussions. I think once we can make those announcements, everybody will be pleased. So,
This is for their building in
yes,
Cuba?
for the buildings up
Okay.
there.
And anything further down to Crossroads?
As far as nothing else, I mean, I just, Tim was asking me about any impacts they have on the actual new DEC regulations. We're going to figure that out. We do have, like I said, a developer ready to say yes. We need to make sure that we can tell them a timeline for water and sewer. So,
And that is also going to be on our agenda for next month. Tom Windus will
I
be
know we're
coming
getting
back and
close,
giving
yeah.
us an update. That's on our agenda for next month also.
Thank you.
Yes, Gary Barnes?
Yes, talking about the plant in Cuba, what possibilities are there for a building that is designed as a dairy facility?
well, there's actually been a look-see just as early as last week, and there's been other people looking for the food processing in there. There's no guarantee there. We actually talked to somebody else just recently. They thought it would be an exciting thing to try to figure that out, and so we're going to work with Great Lakes Cheese. We might, but I think the biggest thing is if you've been through the building, and it's a nice building, it's in good shape, so I think we can find a user of that quite easily.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I will look for an adjournment.
Lawrence?